Okay, welcome back to another setup video on my channel today. In this video today we're going to be looking at the Sls Gt3 on Project Cars. It's not the fastest car around the Nurburgring GP track out of all the GT3 cars, but it's a car that is fun to drive and can actually be beneficial in certain ways if you can get in the lead. This is clearly obviously due to the power the car has. It's got a lot of torque, so on the acceleration it can probably out-accelerate most GT3 cars, with exception of the Audi R8 GT3, which is probably a little bit faster on initial acceleration, but then once you get to full fifth gear, etc., it's probably very equal. However, the Audi will top out on a much slower speed than the Mercedes GT3. It will top out on 174 miles per hour, I think it is. However, the issue on this track is it's not really about top speed. This track is more about handling, grip through corners, etc., and that's why this car does struggle around this track compared to cars like the BMW Z4, the McLaren 12C. The McLaren 12C is obviously faster on this track due to the altitude of the track, so its turbo gives it more power than the naturally aspirated cars, so that's why the McLaren 12C is actually quite a fast car around there. And I think I'm going to actually look at doing a setup for the 12C and see if we can get it into the 52s, as it should be possible with that car. And especially now I've got all my settings right. When I did my 12C setup, I was running the wrong camera angle with the wrong field of view. I must have accidentally put it on a different one, the adjustment for the field of view, and I was wondering why it felt a bit different to the PS4, but now I've got it sorted. As you can see on this video, I'm running the exact same settings as I do on the PS4. I've got the force feedback running really nicely now, even though we're pretty much using default on the setups within the force feedback. Just few changes for this, just one change for this car I think it is, and it overall feels really nice to drive, much better than what it was as default. So we'll have a little look at the setup now and go through the changes that we made from the default setup. Okay, so we're going to go through the setup now and have a little look at the changes we made. Bear in mind that some of the changes that we did on this setup are for qualifying, so you may need to adjust the tyre pressures for the race, just slightly up them, and also open the vents up, especially the brake vent for the Mercedes the SLS GT3. It will need the brake vents opening up quite a bit for race conditions. I would suggest maybe running the brake vents at least to 40 to 50 for race conditions, depending on the race length obviously, and you will need to open the vent up slightly as well for race conditions over what we had it here in qualifying. As this is a qualifying setup, it was basically done for 2 flying laps, and then you will probably start getting a lot of brake issues in terms of overheating and the rear end stepping out of it. So just bear that in mind. You may also want to change the brake balance to 64 for the race, just to give you a bit more safety during the braking. But for qualifying, 63 should be okay. Obviously we altered a few things to do with the suspension, the differential. Just remember that on the differential, if you're struggling with a little bit of oversteer coming out the corners, just possibly lower that differential, or you can adjust the preload to add a bit more preload just to secure the car through exit of corners. On the force feedback, I did change one thing. It was the FX scale on the top there. We changed that to 150. No, I don't think we changed anything else. Just take down them figures anyway. That's all I did. But remember, it all depends on your other settings within the game. So if you've got different settings on your general settings, it's not really gonna, you need to bear that in mind when you're taking down these settings from people, because it all depends on your other settings, how they will correlate with each other. That's why I don't really change much on that, and it's down to personal preference anyway. So we're going to have a little look at the lap now and go through a little quick guide for yourselves. Okay, so you're going to be braking down on the first, just after the first board, your white board you see on the left for the first corner, and staying nice and tight and on that right hander. Getting the car over for this left hander now, staying in second gear and getting on the power as early as you can without losing that rear end. Then braking down to second gear, you want to hold this line really tight in on the apex and straighten the car up, and then get on the power as early as you can coming out this corner. Use some of the X6 tarmac on the left, but try not to run all 4 wheels over the white line. Now we're going to look for the tarmac on the right there. braking down into third gear, keeping it tight again there. We lost a bit of time here, so we didn't get the car back over to the left hand side, you can see there, but we managed to save it slightly by bringing the car in tight and on that apex, but we lost maybe a tenth or two on that corner. Now we're going to be looking out for the tarmac again on the left now. See that little bit of tarmac there that appears there. Braking down into second gear and trying to keep a nice tight line again on this entry to that corner, and then on the exit on the power as quick as you can. Now for this fast corner now, you want to get the car over to the right and chuck it in. Do not lift off. You can get this corner done flat out with this car. With most cars you can, to be fair. Now we're going to look out for the white line for our braking point. There you see that white line across the track going down into third gear. Try and get the car, the front left tyre, over some of that green Astra on the left. Then chucking the car down into second gear, then back into third gear to get maximum speed out of this corner. So we're coming up to the really fast right hander where you do not need to lift. Taking this flat out now in fifth gear, and then looking out for our braking zone, which is just before the white board on the right, this one there, the 100-yard board. Braking down into second gear, try and take a bit of curb there and a bit more there. We slightly lost the back end there, lost us maybe a tenth again, and then looking to brake down into second gear, trying to keep a nice tight line in on this right hander, getting on the power as early as we can, going into third gear and over the line for a 1 minute 53.9. Like I say, we could have spent more time on the time trial and got it down to probably a 1 minute 53.5. But I just wanted to get this set up out for you guys. Hope it has helped. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe for future videos. Thanks again for watching.